Good morning. My name is Orly Cormier, and welcome to the Intentional Wellness Parenting Show, where we set an intention to create healing and wellness every living day. Let me ask you, have you felt sometimes that life is just hard? Wonder if I told you that our life is actually meant for joy, fun, and good health. Of course, it doesn't just happen, but the first step to getting there is to believe that good health is possible and to envision what you would love. From there, we can choose the simple health habits that give our minds, bodies, and spirits the nourishment it needs to work well. Over 2 million people in the U.S. will be diagnosed with cancer this year. Between 600,000 and 1 million are preventable. Our genes are not our destiny, yet our epigenetics can be affected by environmental factors. Therefore, the best time to make a difference is now. So let's dive right in.
I'm Dr. Pat, and I just want to say to everybody right now, this right here, this episode right here, it doesn't matter what Orly speaks about. Years of experience working in a field. I don't know how she does it, helping people in situations that I can't even begin to imagine, but she is dedicated, she is committed. And you know how I know this episode right here? Feeling depleted. Wake up now, here it comes. How can we fill up our own spiritual parenting bank daily? Because look, my mom did not have a way to even understand what she could do. Many moms, many parents, moms, dad, you're in a world now where you're working multiple jobs. Things are going on. So this episode, it's not just for you, it's for your children. Orly, thank you for taking this on. This is a big one now.
Yeah, it's big because I think, many of us would agree our world is so chaotic, so polarized, so stressful, so conflictual that it impacts on our nervous system and it impacts on our energy. And we already live stressful lives. Anybody who's, been around for the last, 20, 40 years, it's just like one thing after another. And oftentimes we get up and we're getting ready for work, and we may, if we have to commute to work, we're fighting the traffic, and then you get there and then there's a lot to do, and then you're driving home, and if you have kids, then you've got to get to your second full-time job. And if we don't take care of ourselves, we can get depleted and feel exhausted. And I know myself, there were several times in my career working in acute care oncology and trying to take care of my daughter by myself, I got burned out, and that is not a good place to be. And I realized it was a good wake-up call to me that I needed to take care of myself first, because if I didn't take care of myself first, I wasn't good for myself, I wasn't good for my daughter, I wasn't good for my patients, because I was so exhausted. I was just burned out, and you're just like putting one foot in front of the other. So one of the things that, and oftentimes it starts in little ways. There's like these little nudges where, we're a little stressed and we may get a cold and the sniffles and we feel tired and we're like, okay. And then, it's, if we don't hear that little whisper in our ear telling us that it's time to like focus a little more on our own health, then we will keep going. And then a bigger nudge comes along from the universe. Maybe we are now doing more work. We're more tired. We're, stretching ourselves in many directions. And then we fall down, we break a wrist. And that bigger nudge is saying, okay, you need to focus in on yourself and take better care of yourself in terms of what you're eating, the exercise you're getting, the amount of sleep you're getting, so you're not so exhausted you do fall down. And, if you listen to that nudge from the universe, that's a good thing. And you want to give yourself a lot of credit for actually listening to what's going on inside your body and what your body's telling you to do in terms of taking good care of it. If you don't listen and you keep going, the next nudge from the universe may be shouting at us. This is your big wake up call. You've got to stop and think about what you're doing. And it may be that, we have a diagnosis of cancer and now we're facing chemotherapy, or we have a heart attack and now we have to go through, not only recover from being in the hospital in the CCU and then a cardiac rehab outpatient, but it's a slow recovery to get back to where you were before. So what, it is helpful if we listen to those little nudges and those signals from the universe. And sometimes if it grabs our attention enough and we start to focus in on filling up our spiritual parenting bank, that can actually be a good thing. A lot of times when these challenges happen and we pay attention, it's a good opportunity for us to make ourselves a priority, not in a selfish way, because I think sometimes women think it's selfish that we think about ourselves first, but it's really important. We're not going to be good for anybody else if we don't focus in on our own health and our own needs first, so we can give the best to others and give the best to our children and be a good role model for our children of what living a healthy life is all about. So you have the energy for the long term.
Yeah, I remember doing a workshop, and I had to modify this workshop because I wasn't clear. And I gave everybody an assignment over the night. And I said, I want you to go home and I want you to turn on your faucet to drip. Just drip, drip, drip. This was the assignment. And I forgot to tell them that only use a sink that's got the overflow where the water can come out. Okay. What was the point? When they woke up the next day, some people figured this out, but when they woke up the next day, the sink was filled.
Yep.
Drip, 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 drip. And most of the people that did this, they couldn't believe it. So what's the point? This is what you just described.
Well, I think that, the point being that if we don't focus in on our needs, then we're going to get those nudges from the universe and we probably will get sick. And a lot of us, we don't really want to get sick. It's not fun. But I think one of the ways to try to help in this situation is to ask ourselves first, what would we love our life to be? What would turn us on so that we do feel happy and joyful and we're having fun in our life? Because really, like I said in the introduction, that's what our life is meant to be. And so this is a fabulous year to do that because we are now in the fire horse energy of 2026. It turns out we're in a 20-year period. It started in 24. It goes to 2043, where we have this fire energy that's circulating around our world, not only planet Earth, but the universe, and things are going to be more intense. But 2026 is the most intense of those 20 years. And what does that mean? Well, we're going to have a lot more challenges. We're going to have things like conflicts in the world, as if we haven't seen conflicts already. Well, they could get a lot worse, and we could see a change in power in the world. We also are going to see more weather events, things like fires and floods and hurricanes and earthquakes. And, we're already seeing them. And so we need to prepare ourselves that not only, and that's the bad news, is we're going to have more challenges, but the good news is we're going to have more opportunities. For those who take advantage of this wonderful, intense energy, we can accomplish the things that we would love. And we can, especially if you're somebody who's an entrepreneur, you're creative, you have a passion for something in your life. If you focus in on those things, you're more likely to get them. So it's a good time to take a pause at the beginning of 2026 and ask yourself, what would I love? And there's 4 different areas that you can ask yourself what you would love. There's your health. What would I love in my health? And how can I get there? And are there things that I could be doing differently that is going to help boost up my health? Are there certain, maybe I'm eating really well most of the time, but maybe there's things that I'm doing like, um, smoking. And so that would be a good thing to decide I'm going to quit my smoking because I know it's not helping me. Um, then you look at your sleep patterns and are you getting the 6 or 7 to 8 hours of sleep a night? Are you using some sort of stress management in your life? I was just on a YouTube site that had this relaxation music, and it with water dripping in the background. Oh my God. I thought I was going to turn into a bowl of jello. I just felt so relaxed and so wonderful. And just to have that in the background can be helpful. And then do you have, something that you've always had a passion for and you'd like to go for it? That when you have a passion for something and you go for it, that's going to light you up and you're going to spread that light and that goodness in the world, which the world needs. Then how about your relationships? Are you satisfied with the relationships in your life? And maybe you are giving a lot to your kids right now, but how about your spouse? It's so often that because those first 5 years are so labor intensive in all ways, oftentimes couples are taking time away from focusing on the most important part of this family, which is the strength of the marriage. And so it's important to also build in time where you're focusing in on each other. And maybe you think, well, yeah, and I can remember myself, the first 10 years of my daughter's life, because I was taking care of her 365 days a year and working full time, is I didn't take a vacation. And by the 10 years, I was ready to like go crazy. I was having problems with my eyes. I was having a hard time seeing. They wanted to do surgery on my eyes. And I was just like, I can't handle this anymore. I have to get away and I have to get away without my daughter. So I made arrangements for her to be taken care of. When I came back, I felt so replenished. It was wonderful. But it's also, just spending that time with your spouse and maybe you like one day a week, now you build in time for each other. Every Friday night is date night. And, or maybe you get a babysitter and you go out. Or if you can't afford to go out, you put the kids to bed too early and then you have time for each other so you can focus in on your relationship again. The third thing is your career. Maybe you're in your career that you absolutely love, and so there's other things you want to do with that career that you love. Or maybe you're in a career that you like, but it's not really your passion and you've gotten enough experience in it. So now you decide, oh, I want to be the manager. I want to be the supervisor. Or maybe you make a lateral transfer and you start doing something a little bit different, but it's more in line with what your passion is based on the experience you've already gotten. And then the fourth area that you can look at in terms of what you would love your life to be is time and money freedom and time for vacation. And I can remember when I was in college, my favorite professor was a man named Peter Bertocci. He was worked in the Department of Philosophy and Religion, and he taught us about the 10 things that are included in the life good to lead. And one of them was recreation. And I thought, really? Recreation? Like, I'm thinking honesty and working hard and maybe, coming up with a new technology. But what he said within the word recreation is the word recreate. It is a time for us to step back and recreate ourselves and our energy and rejuvenate ourselves. And it's not just like going on vacation for the sake of going on vacation, but doing something that fills us up and helps us to feel renewed and rejuvenated when we came back. And I'll tell you, when I went on that first vacation, when my daughter was 10 years old, I came back ready to be a really good parent again. And sorry
Well,
about that.
what you're saying is, I did a show with Eric recently, and we called it, you got to hit the pause button. Pause. You
Yes.
have to give yourself permission. But part of this, isn't that also trusting in the universe, for lack of a better phrase?
Oh, yes, absolutely. Because, when we focus in on what we would love and we take a pause to think about what it is, what we would love, what the key to that, to get to actually accomplishing what we would love, is to write down in great detail what is it we would love in those four areas. And from there, then visualizing it and feeling it every single day as if it was happening now, not happening in the future, even if it does happen in the future, but it's actually happening now. And then taking the action steps, figuring out
Mm,
how you're going to get there, or figuring out what action steps you need to take to get there, and then making sure you do
mm,
those action steps, whether it's, taking a course or connecting with the people that maybe know about new career jobs, or um, uh, can help you to get to the clientele for what you would love to offer in the world. And then trusting that the universe has the how. You don't have to worry about how you're going to get there. You're just going to worry about visualizing it, feeling it, and taking the action steps. And then trusting the universe is behind you, supporting you in whatever way you think of the universe. Some people will think of God, some people will think of Allah, Buddha, Mohammed, universal spirit, whatever it is. There is a universe, a spirit out there that's supporting all of us every day. And we can say to ourselves, this or something greater still, and trust that the universe is behind you, supporting you, and is going to help you get there. And it may not be exactly as we envision it, but that's okay, because
mm,
even if it's not exactly as we want it, it is, it's going to be better than what we were thinking. Because there may be things about what we wanted that may not have been the best for us, and or there may be qualities within that that would have made our life more difficult. So this or something greater still, and so it is, amen. And that is something that we can say to ourselves and trust that the universe is helping to support us in our dream.
yeah.
So,
That right there, that ask, no
mhm,
matter what you pick up and you read, there are messages that say, don't hold back. Don't hold back.
right,
Open the door for your question and your want. But there are key takeaways for parents today.
right.
Give us
And
a run through of what they are.
yeah, well, one of the things is, as I said, for women, we almost feel selfish if we think of our own needs. But just like when you're on the airplane and they say, if we lose, altitude and cabin pressure, put your mask on first. So then you're capable of helping your children. And that's what we have to do for ourselves, is think of ourselves first and think of it. What would we love? And then, in then look at those four areas, and we it's almost like analogous to having our own bank account, because when we have a bank account, we have to make sure that we are putting money in, we're putting currency in every week, so that if we need to pay our mortgage, we need to pay the car payment, or say there's an emergency, somebody gets sick in the family and we need extra money to take care of those bills, we have the resources to do that. And then you don't feel, even though it can be hard, you're not overly stressed by that. If we are depleted and we don't have enough money in our bank account, it makes it really a much harder, much more stressful. And that's going to take a lot more resources out of our heart, mind, and spirit to deplete us. Well, it's the same thing in our life. If we are filling up our own spiritual parenting bank with, what we would love for our heart, mind, and spirit in those 4 areas we talked about, then if something happens in our life, we have the resources to get through that. We will have the strength and the resilience to get through that. If we're feeling depleted and we are not in a place where we feel that we are having our needs met, we're getting where our heart, mind, and spirit isn't filled up and lightened up with the things that we're doing, then something comes along, an emergency comes along, we're going to feel a lot more depleted. We can get back our self, but it's going to take a lot more energy to get back and a lot more effort. And especially if we're diagnosed with cancer, I've seen so many of my patients how much energy that takes to overcome. And I tell people it is never too late. I've seen people on the edge of death, and they made the decision they were going to eat better. They were going to get up out of bed, and as hard as it was, walk to the door and back every day, or maybe take a little walk in the hall every day, so that they gradually got their energy back. And they had the support and the resources to help them to get back. And I have seen people turn that around. It wasn't easy. It takes a lot more effort, but it is possible. So it's never too late. And it's never too late as parents to decide that you want to nourish yourself so you are the best parent that you can be. You're the best person that you can be. You're the best spouse that you can be. Because when we are our best, when we're feeling that our heart, mind, and spirit is filled up and nourished and energized every day, then we will be that light and kindness and compassion that this world needs more than ever.
Yeah. I want you to touch on one thing that's become
Sure.
even more than a national trend, and I know we've got a few minutes left. You also work with different family situations, divorce
Yep.
rates are up, so forth.
Yep.
What can you say to help people that are in an unusual situation as parents?
Yeah, well, the divorce rates is a good example of it. That and this is not to put a spotlight on people who are divorced. It's just
No.
a given in our society is that there are a lot of families that have split up, and it becomes hard on everyone. It becomes hard on the mom, the dad, the kids, and it will be a very stressful period. People will get through it, but it is, there's a whole reorientation in terms of how people communicate, making sure that the children feel that they're being loved and cared for by both parents. And knowing that, especially in those situations, because it is a lot more stressful, we need to focus in on filling up our spiritual parenting bank, taking really good care of ourselves, making sure we're getting enough exercise, because that will metabolize a lot of the stress that we're under, making sure we're getting enough sleep, and working out the differences that can be so stressful.
Yeah.
But, just taking those action steps that you need to, and just saying, this is the situation, explaining it to your kids on their level in terms of what they understand, so they don't feel that they're responsible for the divorce.
That's so
Um,
key.
yeah.
Orly, how do we find out more about you? I know the
Yes.
show's coming to a close.
Yeah. So
Upcoming
I'm glad you
workshops, all
asked
of that.
because, yes, because I do have a new workshop coming up. If you go to my website, orallycormier.com and /workshops, you will see what I have available. And for those that were not able to make it last week, I did have a fabulous workshop on envisioning the life that you would love, which is some of what we talked about today. Oh, we had so much fun, and
Mm.
people came away and they were ignited by some of the things, thinking about the things they would love and to add into their life. But this week, I start a new 6-week workshop starting this Thursday, January 22nd, from 7 to 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time, which is 4 to 5:30 p.m. Pacific Time. And it's creating optimal resilience in pregnancy. And it's specifically for young couples who are thinking about getting pregnant within the next 2 years or are pregnant now, and they may have a personal or a family history of cancer, and they want to decrease the risk of cancer to themselves or cancer to their babies. And this is a really good time to be thinking about this, because those organs in the first 8 weeks of pregnancy, all the template of all the organs are
Mm.
forming in the first 8 weeks, oftentimes before women know they're pregnant. And then in the second trimester, that's when the intricate parts of the brain are.
Yeah,
So we want to keep and preserve that time to give babies the
mm.
best chance of good health for life.
I
And
love
so
it.
I hope that you'll join me. It's over Zoom in the comfort of your own home. The price is for a couple, the wife, the husband, the wife, her partner, maybe a single mom and her
Mhm.
best support. And so keep that in mind. And it's for the entire 6 weeks. It's not per week,
Perfect.
it's the entire 6 weeks. So I would love to have you join us. I think you'll be happy that you did. We
Mm.
have fun and you'll learn a lot.
Yeah.
I
Thank
can
you,
support you.
Orly. Yeah,
You're
thank you
welcome.
so much for all of this. And for those of you out there, so seriously important, please play this forward. Make sure you tell your friends and family. And don't forget to connect with Orly. If you have any questions whatsoever,
Yeah.
just connect with her. Thank you, Orly. Thank you all. We'll see you
Okay.
next
All
time.
right. Bye, Dr. Pat. You've been listening to the Intentional Wellness Parenting Show with Orly Cormier and Dr. Pat, where we set an intention to create healing and wellness every living day. Tune into Transformation Talk Radio every third Tuesday of each month at 8:30 a.m. Pacific Time for more guidance and support. Beyond this, I offer workshops to focus on your good health while reducing risk of disease, especially cancer, so you can do more of what you love and spend less time being sick. What I know for sure is that this is especially beneficial for couples who are pregnant, have young children, or teens, as you will give yourself and kids the greatest chance of living a longer, healthier life. So please join us at the Intentional Wellness Parenting Show.